Cool beans.
Let's see. So we were talking earlier about something that we watched the movie The Flash last night, and the reason, no spoiler alerts, right? The reason he is who he is because his mother was killed. And I think that's something he failed to realize when he was trying to get his mother back to life in another multiverse. So I guess like if there was another multiverse of us, right, of you, and it would still lead you to where you are, but it could possibly erase something that caused you a lot of pain or caused you a lot of stress, and like something maybe that could be small that was just in the way, and you just were like, man, if I didn't have that, kind of like speed bump, I would have been able to just get past a little quicker. Is there anything in your life like that till now?
Do you want me to start, huh?
Yes.
Okay. What comes to mind, not so deep as the movie, is appearance, because our society is very based on how we look and how we present ourselves, and we get judged. We get judged basically, whether we like it or not, on how we look. So for me, growing up and having freckles was something that made me stand out in a way that I didn't want to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I didn't like them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were not, I didn't look like everybody else.
Mm.
I was really the only girl in the class with freckles, all over my face, on my arms. So for me, it was very, I guess it seemed to me like a defect in me.
Okay.
And kids made fun of me too. So there were some kids that were like, oh, you didn't wash your face. It looks like you still have dirt on your face, and things like that. So hurtful things that make you feel like, oh, I wish I didn't have these. Like, what would my life be if I didn't have them? Would I be part of the popular kids group? Would I be seen differently by my peers, Would I have grown up a different way?
Mm-hmm.
So for many years, I didn't like my freckles. I wanted to get rid of them with makeup or any way that I could figure out. I tried to find products that would get rid of them, or surgery, or anything. As I grew up, I did embrace them. And I think that they are who I am, and they make me who I am, and I'm unique because of my freckles. And now people are tattooing freckles. So
yes,
I don't know if you've seen
drawing
that.
them on their face.
Or drawing them. So my perspective has changed, not because of that. It changed on its own when I began to accept and love myself for who I am. But I struggled for many years. Many years. I want to say all the way through probably 8th grade at least.
Okay.
Yeah, once I was in high school, I think my mindset changed. I grew up a little bit more.
Well, also you didn't have probably people making fun of you about it.
They weren't paying attention to that.
Right.
Or that wasn't the focus at the time for kids.
Yeah. They grew up. They realize it's stupid, and everybody else has something.
It seems so silly now that I think about it, and it seems silly that I let it get to me. But I guess it was part of growing up.
Well, I guess I could relate because I also have freckles.
Yes, you do.
And they were very pronounced on my face when I was younger as well, and I was very pale. And my mom kind of encouraged it as well because I guess she didn't have freckles, my sister didn't have freckles, my dad didn't. So she would buy this cream called porcelana, which I guess if you translate it's porcelain, right? So if you have porcelain skin. And I would actually put it on my face to get rid of them. And I was like, I guess later on I'm like, wow, that's pretty messed up. But like my mom was buying something for me to put on my face to remove a quality or attribute of who I am. And same thing, right? Getting made fun of, being told I wasn't Hispanic. You know, the other kids were like, oh, there's no way you can be a Hispanic, that, you know, we don't have freckles, we're tanner, you're too white, where are you really from? So I didn't feel like I was from, you know, where I grew up. And then, which is in I guess, West Miami, I don't know, wherever, when you put it in the scope of things. But that, I kind of got over that pretty quickly. Like, I think, like, it was just like a couple years in elementary school that was like, okay, and I moved on.
Longer for me.
But for me, I guess the you know, there was, my grandfather passed away, my maternal grandfather passed away when I was 4. So I didn't really feel that as much. My maternal grandmother died when I was 10. And I remember just, that was like something I feel like I didn't need to go through to like be who I am now, I think, because she suffered so long with cancer, but we would just pick her up on weekends, and it was like, we didn't talk about it. We were just like, oh, everything's fine, and she's drinking beer, and she's watching football games, and so we don't see sick grandmom. We see this very lively grandmom, more of a boy's, you know, a guy's guy than, you know, a grandma. And then all of a sudden, like, you know, my aunt picks me up from school, and she's like, oh, you know, my grandma had been in the hospital for a couple weeks. And then, oh, she died, and I'm taking you to the funeral. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. And she's like, you can cry if you want. I'm like, and I was just like, oh, I'm fine. You know, I know she had cancer for such a long time. So, and then, you know, I get there, and everyone's like, go see the body. You know, it's like you know, a very Latino culture, like, go see the body, you know. And I'm like,
respects kind of thing.
yeah, but I'm like, what am I really doing? I'm a 10-year-old. Like, what am I really processing here? Going to see a body, a vessel, and the person's not there. And I started bawling, crying. And I'm just crying. And I cried so much. And then towards the end of the night, I was pretty delirious. And so much so that my mom was like, okay, like, I think you need to go with your aunt, go home and sleep in. While everybody, you know, the ritual back in the day was you sleep over, you know, you stay the whole night and until the burial. But I feel like that's something at 10, I still was too young to process. You know, same thing with Abby when her grandmother died, great grandmother. She was, you know, close to, I don't want to say she was 10, but she was probably 8 or 9, and I was like, she's not gonna process this correctly, so I'm not gonna, you know, I'll tell her, you know, that she's gone, and kind of explain as best as I could in that language, but I was never gonna like push her towards a body or a casket and go see this, you know. And from then on, I had this huge fear of death. Like, I was just constantly thinking, like, oh, my grandfather died at 50 something. My grandmother died at 50 something. So in my mind, I thought my parents were going to die at 50 something. And right now they're almost late 60s, which I'm so grateful. But I really thought that they were going to just die. Like, I thought I was going to get into, as my parents started getting older, and then my mom getting diabetes and all that, I go, oh, that's it. It's, I'm going to lose my parents. So it created like this, this huge fear in me of death.